We're very excited about all the new technologies out there. There's technology around unified semantic layers. There's technology around harnessing the power of large language models to access the vast amounts of data stored in structured data databases such as data warehouses, data lakes, and other formats. But the fact remains that there's still no easy button. We still have to do a lot of work to apply business context to the data, secure the data, and structure it in a thoughtful way. One of the challenges, I guess the overall challenges that we're seeing clients face recently is, and it's nothing new, but it's getting caught up in the technology. So many clients will say, "Hey, we need some of that AI. Where can we apply that?" And I think that's the backwards way to look at it. The best way to look at it is, look at what business challenges you have and figure out what technology is the right technology to apply to the problems. And a lot of times it is some of the new technology, but not always. So we always recommend to focus on the business problems that you're trying to address. Our data experts have talked with many of our clients on their specific challenges and how they've addressed them, and we're excited to share what we've learned.
A lot of organizations face fatigue when it comes to data governance because they're investing in overly complicated programs that never get adopted. The key to overcoming this is balance and finding a program that can be tailored to business needs. So one that has policies and technology investments that actually match the needs of your organization. If I were to recommend the first few steps on building out a right-sized program that actually gets adopted, I would start with setting policy as a foundation of your program. And what this looks like is, establishing data definitions, ownership, and decision rights. Then I would invest in tools like data catalogs and lineage tracking that are going to help reinforce and bring that governance to life for your users. From there, I would operationalize governance by integrating it into daily business processes. Now, depending on your organization's size and complexity, this might mean starting with a pilot program before you do a full-scale deployment. So the key here is balance. Don't over-engineer your program if you're not ready for it, and don't overemphasize the importance of technology. At the end of the day, a right-sized program that fits your organization's needs and maturity levels is the one that will be adopted.
Semantic layers are not new to data and analytics. It's something that's been around for a very long time. Oftentimes they were tool specific, but in 2025, what we're seeing are open source semantic layers or much more connected semantic layers across technology starting to take hold. And a big driver of that is the need for AI and agentic AI. And so when we think about the value of a semantic layer, really what that means is you're connecting your technical assets, your databases, your metrics and attributes that you've defined from a SQL perspective or from a particular technology perspective, and making sure that you can connect that into business language and meaning around those metrics, which makes it easier for AI to discover the proper way to calculate those assets and to make sure you have governed consistency when somebody actually wants to use those metrics. The best way to get started in any semantic tool adoption ultimately is to define those clearly. Define those metrics and attributes that you use to drive your business in the language your business uses, because that's how your teams are going to interact with agentic AI to access those layers. There's lots of tools that solve that problem in lots of different ways. And so the best way, again, to get started is define what those metrics and attributes are that are commonly used across your business, give them clear business definitions, and then make sure you know exactly what data is used to calculate those fields correctly, so you have a really strong, consistent way to adopt one of those semantic tools once you actually select the best one that's for your organization. It is a concept that is not specific to analytics, but we do see it impacting the way that business users actually access information and make decisions that used to be classified under self-service BI. And BI has historically not done a great job of actually meeting the needs that users have, business users, less technical people, in answering their own business questions in the language and the workflow and the process by which they actually interact with data. So rather than people trying to cobble together lots of different data sets in Excel, we see agentic AI as providing the advancement that allows somebody to describe the business problem they're trying to solve, and allowing agentic AI to bring them the insights they need to supply the context they need to make a decision. Ultimately, the best way to get started on this process is to define your business metrics and attributes definitions really clearly. Any tool or any solution that you're going to adopt for agentic AI is going to require you to have that consistent definition and a clear understanding of how those metrics are calculated so that you don't allow AI to hallucinate or come up with different answers to the same questions that people ask, maybe in slightly different ways. But agentic AI is going to change and already is changing and transforming the way that business users interact with BI and analytics tool sets today.
AI refers to the techniques and methods used to, I'll say, shine a light on the hidden processes AI goes through to derive to conclusions, right? So it's basically answering the question of how an AI model reaches a decision. So what this means is instead of just getting an answer, explainable AI techniques would get you the answer along with all of the context of how it got there, right? This would be the inputs, the details, counterfactual explanations, anything to help the user trust and agree with the answer the model gave. So when we think about the biggest opportunities here, there's one very clear opportunity with explainable AI, which is driving further trust and adoption of AI-powered decision making, which gives your organization a competitive edge within the industry. So it's no secret that we as humans often hesitate to take AI at its word, especially when when there's a stress on us, right? When there's a highly sensitive or highly regulated situation, or you're in a highly regulated industry like healthcare, like the legal system, like finance, HR. These are industries we know we have to have clarity and transparency in. So when a highly complex AI model tells you a patient has X diagnosis, and it starts recommending treatments, most people have that little voice in the back of their head that questions the accuracy and legitimacy of the answer the AI model gave. So if this same model instead gave you a full list of parameters, right? The full view of logical rules, the decision tree that it went down to then derive to the same diagnosis, then that patient care expert would see how it got to the answer and trust the conclusion further.
Have to prioritize projects that really deliver real value, and they're going to have to cut back on efforts that don't necessarily align with core business objectives, goals, or revenue generating measures. So this approach isn't necessarily about saving costs. It's about recalibrating resources to focus on high impact initiatives that generate measurable outcomes. In terms of what the biggest opportunity this priority presents for businesses, companies can really use this moment to eliminate bloated, non-ROI generating projects and recalibrate their data teams to focus on what truly drives value for the organization. In doing so, organizations should be looking for opportunities to optimize their cloud spending costs as a starting point, shift personnel from IT-centric functions towards business domain-driven initiatives, and ultimately align those resources a little bit more closely with strategic priorities or priorities that have a clear, measurable return on investment-driven outcome. As far as the first step that organizations can take to implement this, start by streamlining priorities. Take a look at all of the active initiatives that you have in flight and really focus on the high feasibility, high value objectives that you have for your data teams over the course of 2025. Organizations can really improve efficiency and results by taking this approach. However, the strategy does come with a little bit of a risk, and it's something to be cognizant of if this is something that you're going to be tackling as a priority. Data teams can be stretched really thin and face burnout if you don't consider adequate support mechanisms in place for them. So consider balancing internal capabilities with external expertise, outside consultancies, firms of that nature that can help support and supplement your data teams as they drive a little bit more towards impactful ROI-driven initiatives in 2025.